good evening. This is Hound Dog Steve coming to you on the 29th of June, which is a Thursday evening. And so here we go. We're going to round out my series on Theresa May and D.U.P. And here we have the signing of the deal. Theresa May has got into bed with the D.U.P. and they have formed a government, and they have a majority government because, as I mentioned, that Jeremy Corbyn with all of the other parties can only raise 322 votes, and Theresa May with the DUP can raise 328 votes. And I would once again like to reiterate, what a bonus this is for the public, and you'll see in a minute, because I'm going to do a little article on some of the, flesh out some of the background of the DUP and what they stand for and what they've asked for in the contract with Theresa May to form a government. But because there is that tension between these two parties, Theresa May will have to go to the public, the entire public, including Northern Ireland, and she needs to get a really good groundswell support for any law that she would like to pass to get the DUP's support. So you can guarantee that she is going to be negotiating with the public, and you're going to see transparency like you've never seen before. You are going to see a compliant government like you've never seen before, and you're going to see public input and interaction like you've never seen before, because minority governments serve the public. Remember that. I don't know how we can engineer this in Ontario and in Canada, other than by suggesting, because it has been proven, I will say, that there is a collective consciousness. But if we just think that we want to have a minority government, that is what the outcome will be. So I would point now to a very humbled Christy Clark in BC. Look at that downtrodden woman. Oh my God, her head is down. She is just bowed like a penitent person. And I think it's just wonderful, because Christy Clark was a my way or the highway kind of gal, and she has acted like a dictator in BC for the last 6 years. And here we have the new, improved Christy Clark, and here is what she has to say. I'm going to do my level best to make sure that our government looks, feels and is different from the government that British Columbia had for the last 6 years. So what are you saying, Christy, that you've been, like a piece of crap leader for the last 6 years? Is that what you're saying, that you really are admitting that you've just been this horrible, dictatorial kind of personality in power? Is that what you're saying to us? I think it is, because that's what you've been for the last 6 years. And suddenly, isn't it funny how, they have these, deathbed conversions. It's so unbelievable how all of a sudden, when things go bad, when the world turns against you, you believe in God and sunshine and butterflies and hope and conversations with the public. It'll just be a loving, won't it? I mean, I just get so tired of this bullshit. That they're our best friend when they're on the losing side, but when they're winning, oh my God, they're on top. And you know what? If you think back to your school days, that's what a bully's like. When the bully is getting pushed back, all of a sudden you see this little Timmy coming out who can't cope with it. But when they're on top, oh my God, they are the tyrant. So yes, we need a minority government, and if that's the way we have to do it, is just by thinking that that's really what we need as a civilization, as Canadians. Because you know what? Right now the world is so volatile that everything is just so stirred up. Okay? You do not need the knee-jerk reaction. You need to tie the hands of the politicians because they're so damn dangerous when they have a majority. They think that you like them. And so they behave like they have some kind of authority which they never had before. And we're getting the same thing in Ontario. Kathleen Wynne has become an absolute dictator. And you know what? The interesting thing is that if you were to triple Kathleen Wynne's popularity rating right now, okay, she still wouldn't beat Donald Trump. And that's saying something. Okay, so her popularity rating is in the toilet. It's down around about 10 or 12% right now. Okay, so we need a minority government in Ontario next year. Okay, so here is my little background on the DUP, so you can maybe understand the situation a little bit more fully. And I will let you enjoy that. Okay, so here we are, the Sun newspaper. What is the DUP? Who are they? Where did they come from? Who is Arlene Foster? Okay, I know the Sun newspaper is a bit of a lowbrow paper, but it does go through the manifesto and a few other details. So here she is, Arlene Foster. This is the leader of the DUP from Ireland, Northern Ireland. Okay, so who are the Democratic Unionist Party? Founded by Protestant firebrand Ian Paisley, and by golly, he was a firebrand. I was in England at the time of the Irish unrest, and by God, I'll tell you, you talk about fire and brimstone. The Democratic Unionist Party is the largest party in Northern Ireland, with a narrow electoral edge over Republican Sinn Féin, who refuse to sit in Parliament. Led by Arlene Foster, they are the staunchly pro-union and pro-Brexit, making them a natural fit for a deal with the Tories. Their campaign manifesto, including retaining the triple lock on pensions and cutting VAT, that's the value-added tax, for tourism businesses. The DUP also supports a nuclear deterrent, which puts them at odds with historically anti-Trident Jeremy Corbyn. The Labour leader has, of course, a history of associations with Republicans from the province. But the DUP have conservative views on issues such as gay rights and abortion, which could make implementing May's social policies more difficult. They have also been criticised in the past for their links to members of the violent loyalist parliamentary groups like the UVF, which is the Ulster Volunteer Force, who murdered Republicans and Catholics during the Troubles. And there we are, DUP leader Arlene Foster and Nigel Dodds during the election campaign. Okay, so what are the key DUP policies that you should know? The DUP is pro-Brexit, but will not accept any deal reinstating a hard border with the Republic of Ireland. The party wants corporate tax cut from 19% to 12.5%, well below the Tories' aim of 17%. Its manifesto vowed to retain the triple lock on state pensions, which guarantees a yearly rise of at least 2.5%. The Tories promised only a double lock. DUP also wants to keep universal winter fuel payments for the elderly, which the Conservatives have said will be subject to means testing. Another DUP manifesto pledge was to scrap air passage duty. The TV licence fee should be scrapped and the BBC radically overhauled. Just a little point there for Canadians. In Britain, you pay a licence to the government to watch television. Now, it is only a nominal fee. I believe it is something like 50 or 75 pounds, which is, about $120 to $150. But still, it's a license just to watch what we consider over here to be basically a personal activity between you and the television company. Okay, this is where it gets interesting. The DUP opposes same-sex marriage. When its MP David Simpson voted against it in the UK Parliament in 2013, he said it was because the Bible talked about Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. The party is also opposed to abortion. MP Sammy Wilson, the DUP's former Environment Minister, denies the existence of climate. I think he means climate change. The party's former education spokesman, Mervyn Story, once called for creationism to be taught alongside evolution in science classes. A review of terror laws and far-reaching defence shake-up are among the party's demands. It says these are needed because of the emerging threats in the 21st century. Okay, so what's the deal that has been struck with the DUP? As a result of the deal, the Tories have promised to maintain the triple lock on pensions and winter fuel payments for all pensioners, ditching manifesto promises to abolish them. Well, I think that's a good thing. I think seniors should get a little help out, seeing as it's the government who created the inflation that's creating the problem for seniors in the first place. Spending at least 2% of GDP on national defence and extended the Armed Forces Covenant to Northern Ireland. I don't think this is a bad idea at all. I think in this day and age, no matter what we think about terrorism, that Pandora's box has now been opened. And I think because most of the armies of the world are really geared for, specific kinds of environments to take battle in, so I mean, basically Britain was expecting a Northern Europe Russian conflagration, and now it's not turning out that way. The enemy is basically a non-national group that can occupy any country, any place, any city at any time, and our troops are essentially we haven't been leaning that way. So you really, in the future we're going to need a complete reorganization of the kind of military that we have. For example, why do we need expensive fighter jets when we can use drones? You're going to see a lot more growth, I think, of special task forces that can go into a troubled area, work quickly and undercover and leave. But no, I can see that's where we're moving towards, and so yeah, I don't think that's such a bad thing. Spend $1 billion on roads, broadband internet, health reform, and reducing poverty in Northern Ireland. Well, not having broadband is almost like a cruel and unusual punishment these days, but I'm sure we could spend $1 billion on roads and health reform and reducing poverty in Canada. Maintaining funding for Northern Irish farmers even after the end of the EU agriculture subsidies. Well, sadly, subsidies for farmers seem to be an interesting situation with the government. Do I agree with farm subsidies? Well, farmers feed us. There is no doubt about that. And I would say right now in these current conditions, because we're moving into a changing climate, regardless of what the DUP think about that, so I'm thinking we are going to have to help our farmers if we are going to actually survive, and food is a pretty big part of our survival plan. Okay, treat every side equally in talks of Northern Ireland's future and not privilege the DUP. Okay, that seems pretty reasonable. In return, the DUP will support the government in all votes on the budget and everything to do with Brexit, making it easier for the Prime Minister to have her way on Britain's negotiating strategy with Europe. This is a good thing. But the Conservatives will still have to battle to pass other laws striking deals with the DUP on a case-by-case basis. Perfect! There you go. That's what we need for the public. Theresa May and Arlene Foster met with their deputies and senior MPs at number 10 to seal the deal around the cabinet table. The PM and DUP boss watched as Chief Whip Gavin Williamson and top unionist Jeffrey Donaldson both formally signed the agreement. Mrs. Foster said she was delighted by the conclusion of the talks, while Mrs. May added that the parties share many values and said the agreement was a very good one. And there we are. Bless their pointed little heads, just grinning like Cheshire cats, aren't they, eh? Well, what we need to understand here is that the real winner, and I'm just going to scroll that down because the Sun has some pretty racy pictures on their website. But what we need to understand here, that democracy really has been served. And I'm hoping against hope that we can find a few more minority governments taking place in the future. Well, I hope you feel a lot more enlightened now, and so this is Hound Dog Steve signing off. Please like and subscribe below, and we will talk to you soon.